Let's cross now to Canada, where Toronto Fashion Week is underway.
And to find out how Toronto Fashion Week is different from Milan Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, and the rest, we're joined by Bernadette Morra, the editor-in-chief of Fashion Magazine in Toronto. And she joins us from our bureau there. Hi, Bernadette.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. So give us an overview. When did Toronto Fashion Week start? How long does it run for? What are the hot shows? What's going on?
Okay, Toronto Fashion Week actually started more than a decade ago, but it was more of a sort of a independent event that was organized by something called the Fashion Design Council of Canada, which sort of would be comparable to, I guess, like the British Fashion Council, but on a much, much smaller scale. In 2012, IMG, the big worldwide sports and entertainment conglomerate, bought Toronto Fashion Week. So that brought a lot of sponsorship dollars and a sort of a new level of professionalism to the event. So Toronto Fashion Week has been around for quite a long time, but it's sort of become more polished, I would say, in more recent years.
In what way has it become polished? Because it was you've painted a picture of a very edgy and independent-minded fashion show, and sometimes to have too much polish can take the fun away.
Well, that's true, but Toronto designers are pretty much like starving artists, so they need as much support as they can get. So if it means bringing in lots of sponsorship dollars and people throwing makeup samples at you as you walk through the door, who cares? As long as there's something that is supporting Canadian designers, they desperately need it. Now, that being said, there is also sort of a splinter fashion, not week, but there are other fashion events that take place the week prior to this week. And so not all of the, I would say, top designers locally are participating in the official Toronto Fashion Week. And that's one big distinction between London, Paris, Milan. I mean, aside from Azzedine Alaïa in Paris, who shows according to his own schedule, all of the top designers in those fashion capitals are showing at the official fashion weeks.
So with that in mind then, Bernadette, tell us what are the eagerly expected and awaited and attended shows going to be?
Well, the bigger name shows actually are happening right now, and I am not at them. That would be...
Sorry, would that be our fault?
No, that's okay. That's okay. I have
a big team,
wasn't
it? That was us.
But
okay,
we have
we're
a big team,
sorry.
and they're there. They're there. Our team's there. Joe Fresh, who is I wouldn't say a designer brand, but is sort of a Primark kind of a brand that is sold in Loblaws grocery stores, and which has just announced an expansion to, I think it's 25 countries globally, or I can't remember the exact number, but just is about to explode. It's very low priced, very well priced fashion, but very high design, so great value for money. That not oddly, but I mean, where the big shows in Paris, say, are the really expensive clothes, the big ticket in Toronto is Joe Fresh. And that has a lot to do with how socially known Joe Mimran, the designer, and his wife, Kim Newport Mimran, are. So they are a very sort of high-status couple about town, and they have a lot of high-powered social friends, and that's the big ticket. And Pink Tartan, Joe's wife, Kim, designs a label called Pink Tartan, which is very popular. And it's sort of I would say, like a Tory Burch kind of a collection, for lack of better comparison. And she shows right before him. So it's sort of the Kim and Joe night. That's tonight, and that is the big night of Toronto Fashion Week.
How does that, therefore, make the other shows sort of carve their own niche out? Because if you have such an unusual big ticket, then surely that must rub off on the way that the other shows show.
You're quite right. It does, but in another way, though, it has a bit of a halo effect. So Joe and Kim get so much publicity for what they do that it gives a certain aura to the event as a whole. So then the sort of struggling indie designers who are scraping together their pennies to show on the catwalk do sort of benefit from all of the cameras and all of the eyeballs that are coming to Toronto Fashion Week in general.
Okay, well, listen, Bernadette, thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about it. We're sorry to have kept you from a couple of shows, but where
there will always be another fashion show, so don't worry.
All right, brilliant. Well, listen, Bernadette Morra, Editor-in-Chief of Fashion Magazine in Toronto, thank you so much for joining us.